Part 75. Become a disciple of Taoist priest Four Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 753. Once a golden immortal level war breaks out, it will be an earth-shattering situation. Although the formation was there, just in case, the Jin kingdom arranged the 10,000 demons conferred gods formation on the border of Jin and Liao, on the hillside outside the extremely desolate Lanja mountain. Apart from grass, sand, and a few prairie wolves, there is almost nothing else to see here. Desolation is the best synonym here. However, since the kingdom of Jin chose this place as the place to set up a large array and capture the thief Tai, it quickly became lively. Within hundreds of miles, nearly 10 million rooms have been built, and more than 200 million people live in them. There was a large formation all around, with millions of demon troops arrayed in formation. Tightly surround all races in the middle. Of course, they are not wary of these uncultivated human races. Above the formation, 3 men in gorgeous robes were standing or sitting. The one on the left, wearing a purple robe and with a strong build, is Alihan, the left Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Jin. On the right side, the one wearing a green robe, with a long and thin face and a cold and solemn expression is Wan Yanzhen, the left Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Jin. In the middle, the man wearing a green robe, a green cloak, a golden crown on his head, and holding a tortoise shell in his left hand is the current Qing Emperor and the Emperor of the Jin Kingdom, Wanyan Zonghan. A strong man who can compare with Wanyan Aguda, the great ancestor of the Jin Kingdom. Prime Minister Zhou, it seems that you have many talented people. It's really wonderful that you can come up with such a way to increase the number of people. It's just a small trick that is not elegant at all. It is not worthy of praise from His Majesty Aruhan said. Wanyan Zonghan smiled faintly and looked at the flow of people below. Do you think Tai will come? He will definitely come. He got in last time at Hefeng Mountain. If I hadn't misjudged his cultivation level, I would definitely be able to capture this person. There are 200 million people here again this time. How could he not come? Wan Yanzhen affirmed. Do you have any idea about Tai's identity? Aruhan and Wan Yanzhen looked at each other and shook their heads. I am incompetent and have not been able to find out the origin of Tai so far. Wanyan Zonghan narrowed his eyes slightly. Do you think it is possible that he is the Chongshan true monarch who preached about Huanglong Mountain? There are only 2 people in the world who can completely block his deduction. One is Su Junming, and the other is Tai, who has disturbed peace between Jin and Liao. This had to make him think more. Wan Yanzhen shook his head. I think it's impossible. Looking at Su Junming's several attacks, he is best at martial arts and thunder. In Huang Longshan's sermon, although the 5 elements, wind and thunder, and yin and yang were involved, the other ones were only touched upon briefly, and the most profound explanation was thunder. Road. The energy of a monk is limited, even if he is a genius, he has already reached his limit. What's more, Su Junming is also a practitioner of both martial arts and Tao, so it is impossible to distract him. In comparison, the Tai thief swallowed up all the Dharma when he shot it. The Dharma he cultivated was definitely a rare devouring one. So, they can never be the same person. But what? Wanyan Zonghan asked. But this Tai thief suddenly appeared and repeatedly made things difficult for me and the demon clan. I guess he must be a human master who ascended from his realm. As soon as you ascend, you will become a golden immortal. Are there such small worlds in the world? Aruhan said. It may not be the small 1000 world, maybe it is the middle 1000 world similar to our Chixian Shenzhou, or even the great 1000 world. The last few emphasized words made Wanyan Zonghan's expression change. In fact, Wanyan Aguda, the founder of the Jin Kingdom, came from a great world. Came here to escape. After establishing the Kingdom of Jin, he recovered from his injuries and left. No matter what, this person has repeatedly offended me, and we cannot let him continue to live, Wanyanzonghan affirmed. Aruhan and Wanyanzan nodded at the same time. The words just fell. Sudden. A piece of jade on Wanyanzonghan's waist exploded with a bang. The latter's expression changed drastically. The aura on his body soared into the sky, and a phantom of a vast green unicorn appeared in mid-air. Your Majesty, what's wrong? Wanyanzonghan looked ugly. A thief has offended the Chenbai demon realm, and the Great Elder has sent a letter asking for help. What? The two demons looked shocked at the same time. The Great Elder has the 10,000 demon flag in his hand, which can activate the power of the demon realm. Even the Golden Immortal can block it? How could he ask for help? Wanyanzan said in disbelief. I don't believe it either. But the mother and son soul talisman I left to the Great Elder, which cannot be used except in desperate situations, has been broken. Wanyanzonghan opened his palms, and a ball of completely broken jade slag came into view. Did Zhao Kuangyan or Zhang Chongyang take action? Aruhan asked. I don't know. I have to go back and take a look. I'll leave this place to you. At the same time, he handed the tortoise shell in his hand to Aruhan. This Luoxia treasure is under your control for the time being. With it to suppress the Great Formation, and the two of you, there is no need to worry about not being able to take down Tai. My lord, I obey. After Wanyanzonghan taught him the secret of activating the light, he did not hesitate and activated the escaping light to leave the formation and fly straight towards the east. Disappeared in the blink of an eye. Looking at the Luoxia in Aruhan's hand, Wanyanzan's eyes flashed with a dark look. This Luoxia is the most precious treasure of the Jin kingdom, but Wanyanzonghan did not give it to his clansmen, but gave it to Aruhan. Even a fool can understand the meaning. Aruhan held the Luoxia in his hands as the most famous wise man in the Jin kingdom. He certainly understood why Wanyanzonghan entrusted the important treasure to him. However, he undoubtedly got involved in the internal strife of the Wanyan family. What he wants is to use the platform of Dajin to advance to the level of Golden Immortal in a step-by-step manner, then overcome the tribulation and achieve the Tai realm, and go to the world to pursue a higher realm of cultivation. Suddenly, a turtle-shaped jade talisman hanging on the waists of the two burst out with intense light at the same time. His face suddenly changed. The magic power was activated in unison, and the turtle-shaped jade talisman turned into a 3-foot water mirror. The image inside was a huge pit and the imperial city protected by a golden unicorn. Go to the capital. Both of them looked in disbelief. As the imperial capital of the Jin kingdom, Shangjing City, once home to hundreds of millions of monsters, has actually lost most of it. Who is so bold? Wanyanzan said angrily. Aruhan looked into the water mirror, and the scenery changed again, and a figure shrouded in 5 colors of light appeared. Even if it was just an image, Aruhan could clearly feel the rich aura of the 5 elements emitted by the 5-colored light. Aruhan, I have to go back to the capital, otherwise the imperial city will be shattered, the luck will dissipate, and a catastrophe will break out in the entire Jin kingdom. Aruhan nodded and looked serious. Have you ever thought about it? First the demon world was attacked, and then the imperial city of Shangjing. This is completely the enemy trying to lure the tiger away from the mountain. It is indeed possible. But with your cultivation, coupled with the 10,000 demons and gods formation suppressed by Luoxia, if you still can't defeat the opponent, haha. With a sneer, Wanyanzan left in an instant. If you can't beat me, just come back, there's nothing to be ashamed of. The sound coming from far away made Aruhan look angry. After taking a deep breath, suppress the anger. Look at the picture of 200 million pigeons and a million iron pagodas at your feet. With the help of the 10,000 demons conferred God's formation, I am invincible. Defeat, huh, how is that possible? Outside the formation, in the mustard space isolated by multiple space barriers, Tai Zhenjun, who was wearing a hot red robe and a fat figure, took a sip of wine, narrowed his eyes slightly, and showed a look of enjoyment on his face. People say that beautiful hair is caused by early worry. Only this product can relieve worries. Hiccup. After a whine burp came out, heavy light came out from a pair of small eyes. It seems that I and the third child have succeeded, and it's time for me to take action. Let's go. As soon as the white clouds hit the ground, the space barrier disappeared instantly, and a black escaping light flew straight towards Lanja Mountain. Aruhan, whose spiritual consciousness spread tens of thousands of miles around, immediately spotted the flying true Lord Tai coming. While being cautious, a glimmer of light flashed in his eyes. His right hand subconsciously clenched the Luoshu exotic treasure in his hand. As soon as the opponent entered the formation, he immediately activated the formation to completely block the sky in the middle. The black escaping light seemed not to notice the formation secretly arranged around it, and flew straight up the hillside. Aruhan stared at the other person with his eyes, as if he was a fish about to bite. The black light dispersed, revealing a fat man in a sexy red robe leaning against a 3-foot-long white cloud. It's him! Aruhan shouted excitedly in his heart. I saw that the fat man used some method to sit down, and the white clouds instantly turned into a cloud of thousands of feet and fell from the sky. It's now! Aruhan, who had long been ready to go, followed the instructions given by Wanyan Zonghan and urged Luoshu. In an instant, thousands of blue lights surged around. The mighty light shot up thousands of feet, like a huge glass cover, covering true Lord Tai in it. When he arrived here, Aruhan was determined, removed the secret technique of invisibility, and flew over. Ha ha ha, thief Tai, this time I have laid a dragnet, let's see where you can escape. The white mist dissipated. Aruhan suddenly discovered that all the 200 million pigeons that had been left as bait had disappeared. Even some demon officials who were in charge of human pigs also disappeared. Such rapid speed shocked Aruhan. But thinking that Tai had been captured and these people had fulfilled their role, they didn't think more about it. Lying lazily on the white clouds, Genjun Tai narrowed his eyes and smiled. Dragnet? Just your big formation and the millions of beasts around it? Although Aruhan was wise and had a calm personality, at this moment he was also angered by the contempt in Tai Genjun's words. Sharp teeth and a sharp mouth. When I capture you, let's see if you will still be as arrogant as you are now. The right hand made a secret, and the left hand raised the Luoshu tortoise shell. A powerful spiritual light bloomed from the tortoise shell, and millions of iron floating figures were shot around at the same time. In an instant, the blue light turned into a tortoise shell covering the sky, and with the shocking momentum of the mountains hanging upside down, it pressed down heavily on true Lord Tai. Feeling the powerful suppressing power of the tortoise shell, Tai Genjun's heart moved. He sat down and the white clouds instantly transformed into a giant building ship hundreds of feet long and shining with golden light. It's the Guangcheng Golden Ship. Become a disciple of Taoist priest Four Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 754. This top-notch immortal weapon has long since reached perfection and is only short of transcending the tribulation to advance to the Tai realm. After being trained by Tai True Lord for nearly 200 years, it has long since become a matter of one's heart. Boom! A powerful golden aura rushed up from the middle ship building. The collision with the tortoise shell was like the tip of a needle against the awn of wheat. A huge earthquake filled the sky, shaking thousands of miles. Aruhan saw this and was surprised in his heart that he was so tyrannical towards Fabio, but he no longer held back his strength. Tai Futu obeys the order and activates the formation with all his strength, without making any mistakes. Your order? 1,000,000 iron pagodas, 12 mysterious immortals, 360 true immortals, 9,700 heavenly immortals, and nearly 1,000,000 Yuan-Shen demon cultivators, all added together. The mana is comparable to that of a golden immortal. Plus the golden immortal Aruhan. The azure light of the 10,000 demons conferred God's formation is like the blazing sun, so bright that it is difficult to look directly at it. The unbelievable and tyrannical sealing force came rolling in. The golden light on the Guangcheng gold ship was shattered, and it was in a state of failure. Tai Zhenjun stood at the bow of the boat, looking into the air with his hands behind his hands, his brows slightly furrowed. If I hadn't understood the reality of this formation long ago, I would have been trapped here by it today. He shook his head and made a hand gesture. The tall 9-story ship building behind it shines brightly. A dark piece of iron, shaped like a weight, appeared on the first floor of the 9-story ship building. A hill covered with clouds and fog appeared on the second floor of the 9-story ship building. An extremely dark, aesthetically pleasing black clay pot appeared on the third floor. A black gourd with an obscure and powerful aura appeared on the fourth floor. These 4 treasures are exactly the same from top to bottom. The best immortal weapon, Li Gui. Su Junming temporarily left it to True Lord Tai to come to the Jin and Liao countries to collect the world of the sacred mountain outside the world for human use. Tai Zhenjun's natal immortal weapon, the sky-swallowing jar. And the only Tai immortal treasure Suanyan gourd. In fact, if True Lord Tai is willing to use Suanyan gourd, with the tyrannical power of Tai immortal treasure, it will not be difficult to kill a Ruhan. However, Chixian Shenzhou is in the middle thousand world and lacks spiritual energy. If the Tai immortal treasure is used too much, it will easily fall down the level. Therefore, Tai Zhenjun is reluctant to use this treasure unless necessary. Use the prohibition in the cornucopia to worship the 9-story ship building of Guangcheng Golden Ship. The latter also has the function of gathering the power of all treasures. In addition to the Suanyan gourd, 3 top-grade immortal weapons exploded, and in conjunction with the Guangcheng Golden Ship, the vast golden light beam expanded 100 times. The vast golden light was like a giant pillar holding up the sky, blocking the falling tortoise shell. No matter how much Aruhan moved the tortoise shell, it could not be suppressed. Only then did he truly realize that the other party was much stronger than they originally expected. How can it be? Just when he was shocked, the golden ship suddenly expanded 100 times and turned into a giant. The powerful golden ship, with overwhelming force, crashed into the formation wall next to it. The fierce collision was like Mars hitting the Earth, causing the entire formation to vibrate violently. A large swath of blue light shattered. Al-Yahan only felt a powerful concussive force coming from somewhere into the tortoise shell, and even with his demon clan's powerful body, he could barely hold it. Damn it! Aruhan's expression changed drastically. He held the tortoise shell with both hands and lost all the magic power in his body. Try your best to stabilize the formation. How could the 10,000 demons conferred God's formation be easily shaken by him? He didn't know that Tai Zhenjun had already understood the formation and found its weakness. Not to mention the tyranny of the treasures in the hands of True Lord Tai. The most important thing is that Aruhan doesn't know how to use the formation. He just follows the instructions taught by Wanyan Zonghan step by step to activate the formation, but he doesn't know how to use it flexibly. It is difficult to exert the full power of the 10,000 demons conferred God's formation. Of course, Wanyan Zonghan did not expect that the other party was so powerful. You must know that the 10,000 demons conferring God's formation is a great formation that can suppress the golden immortal perfection monk, and it is also the kingdom-suppressing formation of the Jin kingdom. Sudden. More powerful golden light spread out. The vast golden ship seemed to turn into a golden sun. With Aruhan's ugly and nervous expression, he hit him hard again. Light. A powerful light filled Aruhan's sight. Immediately afterwards, an unimaginable force came from the tortoise shell in his hand. Boom. With a muffled sound, his hands were blown away. Luo Shu flew out instantly. Before he could recover, an earth-shattering loud noise shook the sky. The formation that he thought was impregnable was instantly shattered. The bodies of all those in the iron flotation who had not yet reached the immortal realm were shattered by the powerful counter-shock force. The powerful impact wave shattered all the grasslands within a radius of 10,000 feet, and a huge plume of smoke and dust mixed with the flesh and blood of nearly 1,000,000 demon clan rose into the sky. The vast blood stains rose into the sky tens of thousands of feet before falling down. Suddenly, a huge black hole with a diameter of several thousand feet appeared in mid-air. All the flesh, blood, and dust were swallowed up. The magnificent golden ship appeared again. Taoist, who was standing on the bow of the boat with his hands behind his back, felt something move in his heart. The swallowing power in the huge black hole above was 100 times more powerful. Countless fleeing monsters howled in despair, rolled around, and were swallowed by the black hole. In just a dozen seconds, except for the powerful Aruhan, all the demon immortals who suppressed the 10,000 demons conferred God formation were swallowed and suppressed by the black hole. Considering that these demons and immortals will be used as coolies in the future to open up the world of Chongshan, Tai did not kill them. He stretched out his hand and a piece of ancient tortoise shell flew into his palm. This thing is so strong. It was hit twice by my golden ship and it didn't get damaged at all. His Guangcheng golden ship, several top-quality spiritual weapons, and Swanyan Gourd, a Tai immortal treasure, have a combined power. The power is so strong that unless it is a middle-grade innate spiritual treasure, few treasures can stop it. Suddenly, the tortoise shell in his palm trembled. Taoist frowned slightly and clenched his hands. It's not that easy to summon him back. With a casual throw, the tortoise shell flew into the shipbuilding. When I capture that tiger, I will deal with you again. He stretched out his hand and patted it, and when he sat down, the golden boat instantly shrank and turned into a white cloud about 10 feet in size again. Look east. Look where you, White Cat, are escaping. With a wave of his sleeves, the phantom of the celestial elephant gate appeared in mid-air. He urged him to sit down and Bayun flew in. Thousands of miles away from Lanja Mountain, Aruhan was fleeing quickly in his escape light. He never expected that Tai's strength would be so powerful. Even the Jin Kingdom's grand formation, the 10,000 demons conferred God's formation, can actually be broken. Even now he still doesn't quite believe it. But I have to believe it. Tried pinching again. Still no movement. Damn it. He cursed secretly. This time I lost the treasure of Luoshu. I'm afraid it will be difficult to explain to His Majesty. The previous earth-shattering collision made his liver and gallbladder split. He turned around and ran away subconsciously, forgetting to take back Luoshu. Later, when I calmed down a little and wanted to take it back, I found that there was no movement. I was feeling annoyed. Suddenly, the spiritual platform issued a warning. Before he could figure out the reason. 10 feet ahead, a blue stone door suddenly appeared, with a red figure emerging from it. The familiar fat figure shocked Aruhan's heart. Thousands of years of experience in training and fighting allowed him to subconsciously draw out his natal immortal weapon, activate his magic power, and slash it out with one strike. A huge machete that was 1 foot and 2 feet long, silver-white in color, with a straight back and a round eagle head of a tiger, exploded in an instant. The sharp and domineering sword energy is like the Yangtze River, rolling forward with the ferocity of cutting the sky and splitting the earth. Sudden. The once clear sky turned into rich darkness. The powerful suction force exploded, and the powerful sword energy flew past at a faster speed. But the sword energy that used to be earth-shattering has now disappeared silently. How can it be? Aruhan was shocked. His Tiger Soul Sword is his natal immortal weapon, and it is also a top-quality immortal weapon. Although the 12 prohibitions are not perfect, the power is doubled when combined with the Jinxing Tao method that I have comprehended. It has always been 10 swings and 10 battles, fierce and unstoppable. Before he could recover, a strong suction force suddenly enveloped him. The huge force tore him flying towards the black hole. Damn it! He struggled desperately, but as the black hole flew quickly, the devouring power bursting out of it was increasing exponentially. He is also a decisive person. When he sees something bad, he will move his body. In an instant, a 6,000 feet long, black and white giant tiger appeared in mid-air. On his forehead, the word king was shining brightly, and a powerful demonic aura rose into the sky. Roar! The huge roar penetrated the clouds and cracked the rocks. Vast hurricanes arise out of thin air, connecting the sky and the earth, extremely violent. When the demon clan is at its strongest, it is when they manifest their original bodies. At this moment, Aruhan's strength had at least doubled. Compared with Mana, the demon clan's powerful body brings boundless power. After struggling hard, he actually took 2 steps back. Haha, you want to escape? It's not that easy. Taoist stood up from the white clouds, made a few seals with his hands, and his expression rarely became serious. The magic power in Danjin rolled out, and he drank in his mouth. Swallow the sky and the earth. Buzz. The black hole that was thousands of feet in diameter suddenly trembled, and expanded more than 10 times in the next moment. The black hole tens of thousands of feet swallowed up even the surrounding light. Clouds and spiritual energy within hundreds of thousands of miles are swarming in. The powerful devouring power suddenly increased. Aruhan could no longer resist and slowly threw himself into the black hole. He roared again and struggled hard, but he could not stop the earth-shattering devouring force. With a roar of despair, the body disappeared into the black hole. Taoist's black hole is also a void space. Once you are sucked into it, the devouring power will be everywhere. No matter how you struggle, the energy, blood and mana poured out will become the nourishment for the growth of the void space. You can't even think about getting out. When it becomes weaker and weaker, even the skin and bones will be digested by the void space. After swallowing Aruhan, the black hole quickly shrank inward and then disappeared. Taoist, who was originally standing, squatted down. Wiped the sweat from his forehead. Fortunately, it's my natal magical power, otherwise it would have sucked me dry in such a short time. Back then, Su Junming obtained the middle-grade innate spiritual treasure Tian Mo Miao Falling Flag, and extracted the innate spiritual light from it to practice the void mirror. The remaining shell was used by Taoist to practice his swallowing the sky and devouring the earth magical power. This magical power was directly upgraded to the Tai level. In addition to the sudden increase in power, of course more mana is required. If it weren't for his natal magical power, the explosion just now would have drained him of all his mana. Instead of just consuming half of it like now. He took out the gourd Gudu from his waist and took a sip, with a look of enjoyment on his face. After completing this mission, I have to knock some more spiritual fruits from me to make wine. The white clouds caught my attention, and the light escaped quickly, disappearing from the horizon in the blink of an eye. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 755. I don't know how long it took, but a sharp flash of light came at lightning speed. The light dissipated, revealing a middle-aged man wearing a green cloak and a jade crown, with an expression full of anger. It was the Qing Emperor Wanyan Zonghan who left earlier. Looking at the huge pit that was nearly 1,000 miles in diameter and hundreds of meters deep on the slopes of Lanja Mountain where a large array had been set up, and feeling the residual tyrannical demonic energy and blood energy around it, his face became even more angry and ugly. After feeling it carefully and not noticing any anger at all, he took control of the escape light and flew towards the east again. After about an hour, there appeared in front of me a huge crater surrounded by a diameter of thousands of miles, with a diameter of several hundred feet in the middle, and a gorgeous imperial city sitting on an earth peak that reached up to the sky. This imperial city with red walls, green tiles, red railings and jade buildings, and dense palaces, is so disharmonious against the backdrop of the huge pit with no grass growing around it. Wanyanzonghan flew straight towards the imperial city in a flash of light. The golden unicorn lying above the imperial city glanced at him without making any unnecessary movements. It falls into the center of the imperial city, the tallest Jianyuan hall. The royal family gathered here saw him and hurriedly came forward to pay tribute. Grandpa Huang. His Majesty. Wanyanzonghan nodded expressionlessly. I have something important to discuss with the right minister. You all can go down. The royal family looked at each other for a moment, not daring to say anything more, and walked out each other. Wanyanzan walked over and asked, how is the demon world? It has completely disappeared, Wanyanzonghan said with an ugly expression. What? After being shocked for a while, he asked, how is it possible? The demon world is huge, how can it disappear? I don't believe it either, but it just disappeared. When I arrived, Tianzu Peak was cut off, the energy of the earth's veins was broken, the demon world disappeared, and even the 36 demon tribes in Qinbei Mountain also disappeared. After a long time, Wanyanzan digested the news. Take a deep breath. Do you know who did this? I don't know. The other party didn't leave any valuable information. Even if you deduce it, you can't find any clues. After a pause, he asked, where is the imperial city? Who destroyed it? Wanyanzan shook his head. When I came back, I was already like this. No one showed up after that. The only clue I knew was that the person who did it was proficient in the 5 elements Taoism. After a 5-color divine light, he went to the 8th level city outside the capital, along with hundreds of millions of monsters. All clans have disappeared. Wanyanzonghan's pupils shrank, so, this is also a golden immortal. Wanyanzan nodded affirmatively. He raised his head and glanced at the people opposite him who were a generation shorter than him, but had broken through the golden immortal earlier and sat on the thrones of the Jin Kingdom Emperor and Qing Emperor. Things have happened, and what we have to consider now is minimizing the damage. What do you want to say? Go to help Aruhan and be sure to kill Tai and eliminate a scourge for the demon clan of Jin Kingdom. Wanyanzonghan showed a hint of bitterness on his face. No. Could it be? Wanyanzan felt a little uneasy in his heart. Wanyanzonghan nodded, before coming here, I already went to Lanja Mountain. Aruhan and the million iron Buddhas have all disappeared. There are traces of the battle at the scene, as well as the residual strong smell of blood. Wanyanzan's suspicions were confirmed, and his eyes widened instantly with disbelief on his face. Take a deep breath. Aruhan is dead. I don't know. The demon world disappeared, and the 10,000 demons hall where the soul lamp was placed also disappeared. I'm not sure whether he is still alive. Roar. Wanyanzan roared angrily, an astonishing roar that instantly shattered the surrounding decorations. Heavy forbidden auras bloomed from around the hall, blocking the violent sound waves. The Wanyan royal family who had not gone far around could clearly feel the anger in the roar, which was as deep as the abyss. After taking a breath, Wanyanzan felt that the accumulated anger in his heart dissipated a lot. His sharp eyes were fixed on Wanyanzonghan, looking at the latter's calm and cold face. Who is it? Who is making trouble for us, the kingdom of Jin? He is not a fool and understands that he has fallen into someone else's trick to lure the tiger away from the mountain. It's possible either Sanchin Sihai or Daesong. But which one it is, I don't know. But no matter what, the most important thing you and I should consider now is not revenge, but how to protect ourselves. Wanyanzonghan's cold words made Wanyanzan begin to calm down. In order to capture a Taiyi, all the most elite Taifu Tu in the Jin Kingdom were lost. The base camp Qinbei Demon Realm disappeared, and together with the 36 Demon Division of Qinbei Mountain, the most elite reserve talent pool of the Jin Kingdom also disappeared. There was only one imperial city left in Shangjing City, which meant that all the 5 million imperial guards, the most elite of the 5 major armies of the Jin kingdom, were stationed in Shangjing city. The most important thing is that the life and death of left Prime Minister Aruhan, one of the 3 Optimus Primes supporting the overall situation of the Jin kingdom, is unknown. This series of heavy losses reduced the Jin kingdom's strength from 10% to 40%. Moreover, the foundation has been severely damaged, and it will be difficult to recover without thousands of years. If such news spreads, the surrounding forces such as the Liao dynasty, Song dynasty, Donghai, Kongmingshan, etc., which were once warm and affectionate, will soon change their faces. If they choose to join forces, the Jin kingdom's 10,000-year foundation may be destroyed in the hands of the 2 demons. Thinking of this possibility, Wang Yanzhen broke out in a cold sweat. Are we going to let our enemies run free? Wang Yanzhonghan shook his head and said coldly. Of course we can't just let it go. But we don't even know who the enemy is, so how can we talk about revenge? In addition, they can take away the demon world, cripple them in the capital, and kill Aruhan. They are so powerful that even if you and I join forces, we can't. It is its opponent. Therefore, this matter must be considered in the long term. Wang Yanzhen admitted that this is the most appropriate strategy at present. Don't let me know who they are, otherwise I, Wang Yanzhen, will send them to the 18th level of hell. Looking at the incompetent and furious Wang Yanzhen, Wang Yanzhonghan shook his head in his heart. Although he didn't know that the opponent was obviously stronger than them and still concealed his figure, if he didn't prepare early, the next time the opponent attacked, it wouldn't be Aruhan, but the entire Jin kingdom. After all, paper could not cover the fire, and within a few days, news of Shangjing's disappearance spread. Not long after, news of the great changes in Jinbei Mountain also appeared on the market. However, because the demon world itself is relatively secretive and Wang Yanzhonghan deliberately blocked it, no one knows about it yet. The news of the disappearance of left Prime Minister Aruhan is even more secret among secrets. However, the news that the kingdom of Jin suffered heavy losses from the unknown Jinxian spread throughout the world. For a moment, the calm situation suddenly became turbulent. Spies from various countries and even various sects are coming in and out of the kingdom of Jin, trying to figure out the situation. But all they got was superficial information. Those who wanted to go deep into Jinbei Mountain to investigate have basically disappeared. Among the many forces in the world, apart from the instigator, only the Liao kingdom basically knew what was going on. But they also knew that Aruhan had disappeared, and they even thought that the capture of Tai had been successful. Because since the Battle of Lanja Mountain, no pigs have disappeared in the Liao kingdom, and of course they don't have many pigs left. Inside Chongshan residence, Su Junming, Renwuji, Dragon Emperor, Tai Zhenjun, and Ao Tian were all there. Tisk, tisk, 1 golden immortal, 97 mysterious immortals, nearly 3,000 true immortals, tens of thousands of heavenly immortals, plus hundreds of millions of monsters. The strength of the Jin kingdom has been taken away by half of you. This efficiency is really high. Renwuji smiled. Ao Tian looked excited. With the addition of this new force, our Lord Chongshan world will be able to grow by 100 miles in 1 month, and the Star Territory world will grow by 1,000 miles. Gilug, after taking a sip of wine, Tai Zhenjun showed a look of enjoyment on his face. After a moment, he glanced at Ao Tian. I have worked hard for more than 10 years, and finally I made a wedding dress for you. Ao Tian, who had made a lot of money, rarely talked back to his hero. Haha, that's right. The world of Chongshan is not my own, and it is also your retreat. The stronger the world of Chongshan, the more confident you will be when you venture outside, right? Tai Zhenjun is too lazy to say more. Throwing it away, several streams of light flew in front of Su Junming. My dear, please help me practice these treasures. Opening his left palm, a tortoise shell engraved with countless divine patterns appeared in the palm, as well as a sharp-back machete. Su Junming didn't have much interest in the machete. It was just a top-quality fairy weapon. To others, it was a treasure, but to him, it was ordinary. But tortoise shells are different. This is the only spiritual treasure he has ever seen that can compete with the divine ball of destiny. And what's better than the divine ball of heavenly secrets is that it can not only calculate the secrets of heaven, but can also be used to set up formations. Infused with divine consciousness, 12 complete immortal forbidden realms came into view. Wrong. There is a large space inside this treasure that can be used to engrave restrictions, and the traces left after the restrictions are broken can be clearly sensed. 21 immortal forbidden high-grade immortal treasures. Su Junming was surprised. Generally speaking, immortal weapons with 1 to 3 levels of immortality are called low-grade immortal weapons. Immortal weapons from the 4th to 6th realms are called middle-grade immortal weapons. Immortal weapons from the 7th to 9th paths of immortality are called top-grade immortal weapons. Immortal weapons with 10 to 12 levels of immortality are called top-grade immortal weapons. Immortal weapons from 13 to 15 levels of immortality are called low-grade immortal treasures. Basically, it is the same as the fairy weapon. Every 3 levels of prohibition is a small level. The immortal weapons of the 19th to 21st level immortals are the top-grade immortal treasures. Luoshu. Is this treasure really a fairy treasure refined based on the Luoshu in the innate spiritual treasure river map Luoshu? He shook his head. Even if it wasn't, this turtle shell Luoshu would still be of great reference value. I'll leave the turtle shell Luoshu for some time to study and give it to you. What do you want to refine this tiger soul sword? It doesn't matter, as long as you bring out all the potential of this western fine iron. Tai Zhenjun planned to use this tiger soul sword to suppress his Guangcheng golden ship. Half of the 9-story boat building is still empty. After Su Junming put away the second treasure, he spread his left hand. Give me back my sacred mountain outside the sky. Don't you already have a wider demon world? Why do you need this sacred mountain outside the sky? True Lord Tai was a little reluctant to part with him. This treasure suppresses the Guangcheng golden ship, and the power it unleashes is much stronger than ordinary top-grade immortal weapons. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 756. The demon world is vast, and it will definitely be integrated into the Chongshan world in the end. Keep the Tianhui sacred mountain in your hands, and it can come in handy for things like today in the future, Su Junming said. Knowing that he couldn't keep it, Tai Zhenjun reluctantly returned the Tianhui mountain. Lao Wu, you are really greedy. Not satisfied with getting 2 top-quality immortal weapons, you also want to take down Ba Su's sacred mountain outside the sky, Ren Wuji said. What do you know? Luoshu and Tiger Soul Sword were earned by me, 5th Master, after more than 10 years of hard work. They are different. The Dragon Emperor said coldly, if we hadn't contained Wanyan Zonghan and Wanyanzhen, you would have died in Lanja Mountain. Humph, if it is not ordered by me, don't use the Swanyan gourd unless absolutely necessary. Wanyan's uncle and nephew can't stop the power of my soul-slaying banner. Ao Tian doesn't pay attention to these. They are just a few immortal weapons, which are of little help to the world of Chongshan. My dear, since the demon world is going to merge into the world of Chongshan, let me take it back this time. The small 1,000 worlds of 13 million miles is also a great compliment to the Chongshan world. No. Su Junming shook his head. Why? Didn't you just say that you wanted to integrate this world into the world of Chongshan? Of course you have to integrate, but not now. He turned to look at Ao Tian. You are also the heavenly Dao of Chongshan world, and you know what it means to heavenly Dao if such a big small world is deprived of it. The foundation of Chongshan Academy in this world has just been laid, and it is far from solid enough. This is not the time to challenge the law of heaven. There are only 6 or 7 small 1,000 worlds in Chixian County in total. A single move will definitely attract the attention of the heavenly beings in this world. It's really troublesome. If you ask me, it's better to show off my cards directly. I don't believe that this golden immortal from Qi County, Shenzhou, can attack us in a group. Ao Tian's tone was domineering and proud. What I want is to preserve the heritage of this world and get a complete Chixian Shenzhou, not a ruin, Su Junming said. Eyes narrowed slightly. Chixian Shenzhou is not our destination, the vast world behind us is. If too much merit is wasted, it will not be conducive to our development in the new world. Looking at his majestic eyes, Ao Tian shrugged and said nothing more. One more thing. Any of the monsters captured this time who are cannibals will be taken to the Emperor's tower and will serve in hard labor for life. Those who have not been cannibals, disperse them and let them go. In an environment like the demon world, those who can stick to the bottom line and not eat people must be kind-hearted people. Su Junming didn't intend to embarrass them. Now there are more and more demons in Chongshan world. If they are not controlled, they will probably lead to disaster, the Dragon Emperor said coldly. What's so embarrassing about this? Strict laws have been enacted, and any man-eating monsters will be thrown into the Emperor's tower, Ao Tian said. Demons and humans are destined to be different. When conflicts accumulate to a certain extent, once a conflict breaks out, it will be an extremely bloody killing. Even if we suppress it, the conflicts will not subside. Instead, they will accumulate deeper and deeper until the next more violent outbreak. So it's basically impossible for them to live in peace. In my opinion, it is better to open up a larger Xiaoqian world, put all the monsters in it, and let them fend for themselves, Ren Wuji said. Ao Tian shook his head. Although the second son's proposal is once and for all. But we need to know that the demon clan also has people with outstanding talents. If they are all imprisoned in the small thousand world, these top demon clan geniuses will undoubtedly be abandoned, which will be detrimental to the development of Chongshan world. As for conflicts, even if there are no monsters, are there still few wars between human races? Looking at the history of human races from all walks of life, which one has not been killing for many years? Neither of them could convince the other, and in the end the four of them all looked at Su Junming. The solutions you two have their pros and cons, but I have a third way. Su Junming waved his hand, and several streams of light fell into the hands of four people. This is the celestial demon transformation technique that I have learned. By practicing this method, you can transform the body of the demon race into the body of the human race. In the future, all the monsters in the mountains will practice this method, and the monster clan will merge into the human clan. In the end, there will naturally be no distinction between humans and monsters. After the four people meditated for a moment, Tai Zhenjun smiled and said, I still have many methods, and this method is really once and for all. Su Junming shook his head. There is no permanent solution in the world. The heavenly demon transformation technique is just a good solution. Not all demons will give up their tyrannical demon bodies and become human beings. Therefore, we cannot relax about harsh punishments. As for setting up an independent demon world, there is no need for it. Only competition will lead to development. If it becomes a pool of stagnant water, the world will die. Ao Tian nodded. Tai. After the other party looked over, Su Junming continued, after Ao Tian takes away all the demons in the demon world, this small world will be empty. The area of 13 million li is equivalent to a quarter of the Song dynasty and is close to the area of the lower boundary of Shushan mountain. It cannot be wasted. Therefore, you order the city gods from all over the Song dynasty to move the local homeless and beggars. This time the populations from Jin and Liao are also included. In this way, we can not only gain a huge amount of merit, but also lay a solid foundation. It seems I have something to do again, Tai Zhenjun nodded and smiled. That's it for this time, let's let it all go. Su Junming waved his hand, and everyone gradually disappeared. he is in Huanglong Mountain, the Dragon Emperor is in Wuyuan County, Renwuji is in the Chinese world, and Ao Tian is in the Chongshan world. They are all soul projections here. Only Tai Zhenjun was beside him. Now that I have received the mission, I have left with him. With one step, we arrived at the Creation Spirit Island. The spiritual energy is stronger. Spiritual roots are inherently capable of clearing away turbidity, especially innate spiritual roots, let alone middle-grade innate spiritual roots. Since the Xiantianzikuo was restored to its integrity, the spiritual energy in the Creation Spirit Island has increased dozens of times. All spiritual roots will benefit immensely. Along the ancient stone road, looking at the elixirs of different shapes and rich spirituality, my face was filled with a strong sense of satisfaction. His favorite thing is to collect various kinds of elixirs. Every time he visits the medicine garden, he can get spiritual happiness. Soon, the fluffy crown of the Xiantianzikuo tree came into view. Surrounding it are 3 fruit trees. There is a 3-color peach tree, a plum tree full of white plum blossoms, and an orange tree that has not yet bloomed. 3-color flat peach, white plum, and biling luo. Coupled with the 3rd-grade red lotus planted in the Creation Spirit Pond, Su Junming's innate spiritual roots accumulated over hundreds of years of practicing Taoism. That's it. After walking around in a circle, he walked to a 3-foot-high fruit tree, which was green and green, with branches and leaves that scattered spiritual light, and stood in front of it. There is a stone tablet next to it, which is written in neat regular script. The word is 15, Yulingli. This top-quality spiritual root obtained from the shaman tribe in southern Xinjiang has now successfully settled here. With the current concentration of spiritual energy, it will take at least 600 years to mature. However, if we go to the world in the future, the time can be reduced by at least half. After watching for a moment, he walked to an open space next to Yulingli. With a slap on the gourd on his waist, a stone tablet flew out. After landing, inspired by spiritual energy, an invisible barrier enveloped the surrounding area. The situation within 10 feet was changing, and it suddenly became profound. Stepping forward, the area in front of you is no longer 10 feet, but 1,000 feet in radius. After a brief glance, his heart moved. A ray of spiritual light flew out from the jade gourd around his waist. It fell to the ground and turned into a green tree with a height of 100 feet, a crown spread nearly 200 feet, stems and branches and leaves condensed like emerald. Among the huge and complicated leaves, you can see spiritual fruits the size of water tanks, green or red, shaped like apples. With a finger, the ground split open, allowing the giant tree to fly into the pit. After being watered with a little bit of the divine water, the root system came to life like a spiritual snake, rapidly expanding the root system. After the transplant, there was a faint aura, which quickly became stronger. He nodded with satisfaction, and after seeing that nothing else was missing, he reincarnated, used his finger as a pen, and wrote a line of regular script on the stone tablet next to him. Is 16, 3 red spiritual fruits. After acquiring the Qinbei mountain demon realm of the Jin kingdom, most of the treasures accumulated by the Jin kingdom for thousands of years fell into his hands. In addition to the various classics he valued, the most precious among them was the top-quality spiritual root 3 red spiritual fruit. After finishing writing, I looked at it for a moment and stamped my left foot. A ray of purple light flew from the ground and transformed into a boy covered in purple. Zizi has met Master. As Su Junming waved his hand, dozens of spiritual lights flew in front of him. You plant these fairy roots in different categories. Disciple, obey. As a result, after putting many fairy roots into the medicine basket at your waist, you ate the first green lotus after raising the 6-winged golden silkworm in the lotus pond yesterday. Su Junming's face changed slightly, he took a step forward, and instantly left the Creation Spirit Island. The Spirit Island is located in the Creation Spirit Pond. Although it seems to be only about half an acre, the internal space is actually tens of thousands of miles long. Spirit Island is surrounded by blossoming lotus flowers. In addition to the lower grade third grade red lotus with innate spiritual roots, there is also an innate spiritual white lotus, 9 green lotuses, 3 golden lotuses, and 2 yin-yang lotuses. These spiritual roots, which have been with Su Junming for many years, have been nurtured by rich spiritual energy and good fortune, and their medicinal properties and grades have improved a lot. Look into the lotus pond. Sure enough, there were once 9 green lotuses, but now only 8 are left. Turning his eyes, a white lotus flower as big as a water tank came into view. This is an innate spiritual object that is more outstanding than the best spiritual root, but because it does not have the aura of creation, it cannot be regarded as an innate spiritual root. On the lotus platform wrapped in layers of petals, there lies a giant silkworm with bright golden light and 6 wings on its back. 6-winged golden silkworm. When he was in the Shushan world, he got the ancient spirit insect from the green-robed ancestor. Because the source was consumed too much, it has been kept in the creation spirit pond for nearly 4 decades. He stretched out his hand and a golden silkworm flew into his palm. Su Junming's palms contain immeasurable space due to the practice of Pan Tuo divine palm. No matter how huge things are, they will become ordinary when they fly into his palms. Looking at the round body of the golden silkworm and the strong life essence, he nodded secretly in his heart. It has indeed recovered. Sensing his spiritual consciousness, Jin Silkworm moved, and with a faint trace of his spiritual consciousness, he cautiously touched it. Immediately afterwards, a hint of admiration spread into Su Jun's sea of consciousness. It feels like a newborn little guy is carefully exploring the world. Interesting. With a thought in his heart, a little insight about the way of creation spread into the sea of consciousness of the 6-winged golden silkworm. Immediately afterwards, deep joy came from that immature consciousness again. With a faint smile, he tossed it casually, and the golden silkworm flashed through a golden light and landed on the 9-aperture sacred stone in the center of the lotus pond. Let's see how far you can grow. After taking one last look, he turned and walked towards the study. In addition to collecting various spiritual roots, his favorite thing is reading various Taoist books. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 757. Chapter 738, Yin Beat of Resentment, Demonic Bottle of Corpse Chi. In the blink of an eye, 9 years of ups and downs in the kingdom of Jin have passed. For 9 years, due to the heavy blockade imposed by the Jin kingdom, few people knew the specific inside story. But since then, Jin's aggressive arrogance seems to have disappeared. The situation among the 5 major countries has rarely become calm. On this day, 2 escaping lights flew from the west at lightning speed. They reached 1,000 feet above Shangjing City and stopped at the same time. A man wearing a black robe with a sinister look on his face, and a middle-aged man wearing a green robe with a hawk-like gaze, appeared. Looking at the greatly reduced size of Shangjing City below them, the 2 looked at each other. It seems that Jinguo was seriously injured by that Tai. How else could it happen that even half of the capital was destroyed? Both of them had happy smiles on their faces at the same time. Suddenly, an extremely condensed voice sounded in his ears. Since the 2 fellow Taoists are here, why don't you come down and talk? Since the master has invited us, let's go. After the black-robed man nodded, the 2 of them flew straight towards the imperial city, and soon arrived at the Qianyuan Hall, the main meeting hall of the Jin kingdom. Looking at Wanyan Zonghan sitting in the main seat, he was slightly stunned. But he quickly reacted, took a step forward, and cupped his fists as a salute. I never thought that His Majesty the Qing Emperor would greet me personally. We are both extremely honored. The man in green robe said. The kings of the southern and northern chambers of the Liao kingdom are here in person, so I should personally greet them. Please take a seat. Zhou Pihong, who was wearing a black robe, and Yeluchi, who was wearing a green robe, said their thanks and sat down on the jade chairs next to them. "Why haven't you seen your country's left Prime Minister Aruhan?" Yeluchi asked. "Prime Minister Zhou was seriously injured in the battle to kill Tai and is now in retreat," Wanyan Zonghan said. "I see. Seeing the way he went to the capital, he somewhat believed it." In order to avoid interference from the Liao kingdom, they did not tell each other where they would set up their positions. After all, the value of a golden immortal is too high. Whether it is the natal immortal weapon, the elixirs, Taoist books, or even corpses that you carry with you, they are all top treasures in the world of cultivation. The kingdom of Jin did not want to share it with the kingdom of Liao. It's just that they didn't expect that the opponent's strength would be so strong. Not only did they not reap the benefits, but they also broke their own teeth. Even, in order to maintain the apparent strength of the Jin kingdom, they had to conceal the death of Aruhan. Yeluchi did not go into details. "They did not come here to see Aruhan. Your Majesty, the matter that you and I agreed upon at the beginning has come to be taken action, so the two of us came to ask for your opinion," Yeluchi said. "Since it is something agreed upon earlier, I, the kingdom of Jin, will naturally not break our promise." Wanyan Zonghan opened his palm, and a heavily sealed jade box appeared in front of the four of them. With a wave of his right hand, the sealing talismans flew up on their own. Immediately afterwards, extremely rich blue-black resentment sprayed out from it. When all the seals were gone, endless resentment rose into the sky. The sound of ghosts crying and wolves howling made this sacred golden temple seem to have fallen into the 18th level of hell. The surrounding temperature dropped rapidly, and the rich green frost spread quickly, threatening to wrap up the entire golden palace. No immortal would dare to be contaminated by such strong resentment. If you don't pay attention, you will end up going crazy. However, the four people present were all golden immortals, so they were not afraid of this resentment. Wanyan Zonghan performed a trick with his hands, and a ray of blue came down from his upper body, instantly suppressing all the resentment. Opening the lid of the box, a basketball-sized, dark black ball with clouds inside, as if containing billions of ghosts, appeared in front of you. Seeing it, Yeluchi and Jopihong had a hint of excitement in their eyes. "This object is a ghost bead made of 1 billion human souls." The two looked at each other, and after nodding, Jopihong patted the magic bag on his waist, and a black mysterious light slowly rose. In the blink of an eye, it transformed into a glass jade vase with a narrow neck and a bulging belly. He pointed his hand at the jade bottle with the hand seal technique, and the black jade bottle instantly became transparent, and a black skull appeared inside. If you look closely, this skull is completely composed of endless bones. The layers of human corpses intersected with each other, like building a wall, to form this gray-black skull. These endless corpses spawned endless gray-black demonic energy. Even through the jade bottle, one can clearly sense the demonic energy of the corpses as deep as the river. Wanyan Zonghan pressed the seal, and the sealing talismans floating in the air fell layer by layer, quickly sealing the jade box. Jopihong also withdrew his hand, and the black jade bottle covered everything again. With a flash of his eyes, he activated his magic power, and the jade box flew towards Jopihong with a string of spiritual light. Look at the other person's questioning eyes. In order to kill Tai, our country of Jin has sacrificed a lot. We will have to rest and recuperate for the next 100 years. I will leave this matter to you too. Jopihong and Yeluchi exchanged glances. None of them expected that Kim would hand over the leadership of this matter. However, in the matter of killing Tai, the Liao kingdom did take advantage. At almost no cost, Tai, who once disrupted the Liao kingdom and took away billions of pigs, was beheaded by the Jin kingdom. Jin and Liao are in the same spirit, and they should help each other. This matter lies with us, the Liao state. It's just that the nobleman your country has placed in the royal family of the Song dynasty needs to be recommended by your country. Yeluchi wrote. Wanyan Zonghan flicked his fingers, and a ray of green light flew by. After falling into his hand, it turned into a embossed unicorn command talisman. Show her this Kailan Qingling, and she will know what to do. After taking a look, Yeliki put it away. Thank you, Your Majesty, for your success. Wanyanzonghan nodded. You two have other things to do. If not, I would like to help Aruhan heal his injuries, so I won't accompany you too. Zhou Pihong and Yeliki could naturally hear this obvious order to expel guests. Although they wanted to know how Aruhan was injured, they also knew that Wanyanzonghan would definitely not agree. Since His Majesty has other important matters, let's take our leave first. I look forward to news of your success. He turned his head and said, Right, Minister, see off the guests for me. Wanyanzan nodded, You too, please come with me. Farewell. Walk slowly. After sending the two of them off, Wanyanzan returned to the main hall. We, the Jin Kingdom, have invested a lot in this plan. If it is left to the Liao Kingdom to take the lead and it succeeds in the future, wouldn't it mean that they would take advantage of it? After looking at him, Wanyanzonghan said calmly, If you want to have enough benefits, you must have strong strength. Previously, the strength of our Jin Kingdom was higher than that of the Liao Kingdom, so we naturally have to occupy more. Now that Aruhan is dead, the demon world has disappeared, the foundation of the Jin Kingdom has ceased to exist, and its strength has suffered heavy losses. Naturally, we must give up the leadership, otherwise we will not receive benefits, but greater losses. Wanyanzan nodded. He understood the importance of strength better than anyone else, but it was just difficult to accept this huge gap. Damn Tai, it's like he disappeared in the past 10 years, without any clues, Wanyanzan said angrily. Wanyanzonghan narrowed his eyes slightly. It seems that there is a powerful force hidden under the calm waters of the spiritual world. There was a pause. Is there any news at Chongshan Academy that I asked you to pay attention to? They set up large formations in the 3 counties of Wuyuan, Yunzong, and Yanmen. No one is allowed in but no one is allowed out. They only accept human refugees and beggars. I sent 6 batches of spies to and from both human and demon races. All of them left and never returned. It's so secretive. It seems that Chongshan Academy is indeed worthy of further investigation. Do you suspect it was them? Wanyanzonghan shook his head, I don't know either, but I always feel that this person is mysterious and not simple. Do you want me to take action myself? No. After quickly denying it, our kingdom of Jin is no longer what it used to be. If anything happens to you again, our Wanyan family's 10,000-year foundation will be over. Wanyanzan nodded, that was all he said. Aruhan's death not only caused him anger, but also brought him great shock. Golden immortals are also mortal. Since then, he has been much more cautious. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 758. Chapter 739, The Towering Capital of Song Dynasty, the Mighty Huayang. Tokyo Bianliang, a kingdom in the Song Dynasty, is also the most prosperous city in the entire Qi County of China. It stretches nearly 1,000 miles from east to west and 800 miles from north to south. From east to west, from south to north, there are a total of 81 city gates and 12 city walls, which is nearly twice the size of Shangjing, the capital of the Jin Kingdom. In addition to the Zhao royal family living in the imperial city, there are more than 200 million people in the 11 cities outside. The glorious capital of a country, the endless splendor of Bianliang. However, in this huge city, the hardship of the people at the bottom and the luxury of the rich and powerful are still unavoidable. This is especially true for the Zhao and Song royal families. The majestic imperial city is full of carved railings and jade inlays made of countless people's sacrifices. But people who enjoy the glory and wealth never think about the life and death of those mud-legged people. Years of wanton oppression have long given birth to a spark of resistance among the people. My beloved concubine, look. I ordered the magistrate of Hangzhou to find this piece of spiritual jade after 3 years of searching. It is graceful and graceful, like a dancing girl. It is very unique. Zhaoji, Emperor Huizong of the Song dynasty, was in high spirits, pointing to the rockery in the lotus pond in the distance and said with a smile. Next to him stood a beautiful woman with gorgeous clothes, high hair, and a graceful figure. This woman has a pair of watery red and phoenix eyes, which are charming and seductive. Under the high bridge of the nose, there is a little cherry mouth, with an oval face and white and tender skin that is almost watery. It is indescribable charm, indescribable style, and it is a beauty on earth, a fairy in heaven. It is also a blessing for this spiritual jade stone to be praised by His Majesty. The woman chuckled. Ha ha, it's all thanks to my beloved concubine. If you hadn't urged me to build this Huang palace, there wouldn't be such a paradise on earth in my palace, and I wouldn't be able to experience this bliss on earth. Your Majesty is so flattering. I just got it by chance. This Huang Palace can be built thanks to the planning of Your Majesty and Prime Minister Cai. As soon as she finished speaking, the woman's color suddenly changed. What's wrong with my beloved concubine? Your Majesty, I just felt a little unwell. Zhaoji looked anxious. This was his most beloved beauty. If something happened to her, it would make her heartbroken. Send it to the imperial doctor quickly. He quickly called out to the eunuch who was leaving, Don't worry, Your Majesty. I just didn't get a good rest last night. Just go back and get some sleep. No, my wife's body is more important than anything else. Looking at the eunuch who stopped, he said sternly, Go quickly. Yes, yes, old slave, go right now. Come here, help my concubine back to the palace quickly. Several palace maids stepped forward and helped the woman back to Jinlan Garden in Huang Palace. The imperial doctor came in a hurry and looked around, but couldn't find anything wrong. Your Majesty, I'm just tired. Just take a rest. The imperial doctor, who was worried and didn't know what to say, heard the words and felt blessed. Putting down the red silk in his hand, he stood up and said respectfully, Your Majesty, the imperial concubine is just tired for a long time. I will prescribe some medicine to soothe the nerves and replenish the qi. After drinking it and taking a good rest, she will recover. Is this true? Wei Chen will never dare to deceive in the slightest. Then hurry up and get a prescription, Zhao Ji shouted. Weichen, go now, go now. The imperial doctor was also a man of cultivation, but not very high. In front of Zhao Ji, the king of a country who shouldered the whole world on his shoulders, he did not dare to go any further. The prescription was quickly filled. After fetching the medicine from the imperial hospital and boiling it, Zhao Ji personally fed the woman to take it and told her to have a good rest before leaving reluctantly. You all get out. The maids waiting around did not dare to disobey orders, and after responding respectfully, they all withdrew. Calmness quickly returned to the room. The woman turned over and sat up, her face became cold and charming. His original sickly look had completely disappeared. At the same time, the hand movements became blurred because the speed was too fast. Suddenly, he drank in his mouth. Seal up. A blue light bloomed from the hand, and the entire room was sealed. The woman said respectfully after getting out of bed. Hu Yun respectfully welcomes Mr. Zhou Xiang. In the mid-air above the palace, there were ripples like water droplets in a pond. Gradually, a tall figure became clear. Then the emperor of Song dynasty really loves you like a pearl in his palm. The cold voice made Hu Yun feel cold in her heart. My servant is from the demon clan, and I would never dare to deviate from it. That emperor song was attracted by my Fox clan's charm, so he fell madly in love with my servant. After finishing speaking, he subconsciously looked up and his expression suddenly changed. You are not the left prime minister, who are you? His hands glowed with blue light, and 6 foxtail phantoms appeared behind him. Before she could take out the magic weapon, an unimaginable forceful aura was suddenly suppressed. Huyun only felt that an ancient giant mountain fell from the sky and pressed on her shoulders. She was equipped with immortal-level magic power and could not move at all. Fortunately, this momentum comes and goes quickly. Very scary. He looked at the black-robed man in mid-air with fear. He was definitely a strong man of the golden immortal level. The light flashed and Huyun subconsciously caught it. A green jade plaque with an embossed unicorn appeared in front of him. His pupils shrank, and his heart was shocked. Kailan Qingling. I am Zhou Pihong, the great king of the southern court of the Liao kingdom. The pixie bead in your dungeon that can shield the golden immortal from prying eyes is my most precious treasure. Whether it was the Kailan Qingling, the supreme authority of Jianling Ru Jianqing Emperor himself, or the opponent's astonishing cultivation level at the golden immortal level, Huyun was not able to compete. My servant, please see the king of the South Campus. Get up. You have been lurking in the Song dynasty for many years, but have you figured out the whereabouts of the dragon veins of the Song dynasty? Huyun pointed her green jade finger at her forehead, and countless streams of light flew out, forming a complete map of the imperial city in mid-air. After many years of secret investigation by my daughter, I have found that the dragon vein of the Song dynasty is located in the imperial jade seal in the Huangji Palace. Huyun stretched out her hand, and the image of a magnificent triple palace appeared in front of Zhou Pihong. Zhou Pihong secretly wrote it down. Well done. After this is successful, you should be credited with the first credit. I don't dare to be rewarded by King Zhou. Everything I did was for the demon clan. Haha, that's right. Everything is for the demon clan. With laughter, the figure gradually disappeared. It wasn't until the aura that made her deeply depressed disappeared that Huyun breathed a sigh of relief and stood up straight. Looking at everything around him, struggle showed on his face. After a while, he gritted his teeth, put away the restrictions around him, and returned to the bed to lie down again. Back then, when she came from the kingdom of Jin to work as an undercover agent in the Song dynasty, Aruhan had promised her that as long as she found out the location of the dragon veins of the Song dynasty, she would complete the mission and she could come and go freely. But now, after enjoying a life of wealth for decades, she can no longer part with it. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 759. Huayang Palace is located in the west of the imperial city, while Chengtian Palace is on the east side. But for Zhou Pihong, who had a map, it was easy to find it. Of course, if you don't use your spiritual consciousness to avoid being discovered by the guards here, there is only a dozen miles around, so why would you need a map? The guards are really tight. Surrounding the Chengtian Hall, which is about a dozen acres in size, there are 2 mysterious immortals, a dozen true immortals, and nearly 100 heavenly immortals stationed around it. Moreover, there are many restrictions, and any disturbance will be difficult to hide. Fortunately, I was prepared in advance, otherwise I might not have been able to get in. The person was in mid-air, silently moving, and a white bead slowly rose from the top of his head, shrouded in a faint white light, and the entire person's figure slowly disappeared, and even his breath disappeared. This bead is called the By 11 bead. It is the inner elixir of the ancient monster By 11. It can restrain the aura and body shape, and is difficult for even the golden immortal to detect. It is one of the most valuable treasures in the Liao kingdom. There are 3 of them in total. For this plan, they gave one to Huyun and asked her to act as an internal agent. He gathered his magic power and quietly landed on the golden tiles of Chengtian Hall. Surrounded by the tyrannical consciousness of the Xianxian, even the golden immortal would not be able to escape the dense cobweb-like consciousness as soon as he entered the Chengtian palace without some unique means. Zhou Pihong quietly sat cross-legged in the Chengtian hall and did not make a move. He was very patient and could sit there for half a year. It was finally time for the guards to change shifts, dissipating spiritual consciousness every day to protect the Chengtian palace. After a long time, the monks will feel tired. Taking advantage of this brief gap, Zhou Pihong quietly stabbed down with the awl he had already held in his hand. In an instant, a faint black brilliance flickered, and when the surrounding restrictions touched it, it seemed as if it was corroded, revealing a hole the size of a bowl. Zhou Pihong seized the opportunity, attached a spiritual talisman to his body, transformed into mysterious light, and got in. The restriction was quickly restored, and the guards who had finished their shift spread out their consciousness and wrapped the entire hall again. But it was impossible for their consciousness to penetrate the restriction, so Zhou Pihong took out the black awl again. This awl is called the Rotten Heart Awl. It is a valuable treasure that the Jin kingdom collected the venom of tens of thousands of poisons and practiced it for thousands of years before it was successfully used. Not only can it corrode restrictions, but it can also be used against enemies. The rot contained in it would make it difficult for a Xian immortal to survive even if it was exposed to it. It would also be a big trouble that would be difficult to eradicate even if a golden immortal were exposed to it. After passing the outer layer of restrictions, there is a more powerful second layer of restrictions inside. Fortunately, with the protection of the outer layer of restrictions, he would not be as restrained as before. Take out the rotten heart cone and repeat the same trick. The second level of restriction was obviously much stronger, and it took him more than 10 seconds to open the gap. There used to be a stronger third level on the second level. This time it took a quarter of an hour. Suppressing the excitement in my heart, I quietly flew in. In the vast hall, there is a huge golden seal the size of a wash basin suspended in the air, surrounded by heavy golden light. This large seal is 9 inches long, wide and high. The 9-dragon plate button on the top has different patterns on the 4 sides. The east side is the sun, moon, and stars, the west side is the strategy of unifying the 4 seas, the south side is mountains, rivers, and vegetation, and the north side is farming and livestock raising. At the bottom are 4 divine patterns. The national jade seal. This is the seal that has been passed down from ancient times and represents the supreme authority of the human emperor. If you get it, you will be recognized by the world as a human emperor, otherwise, you will be unfair and unjust. Of course, whether he is a real human emperor ultimately depends on his strength, and the imperial seal is the icing on the cake. Otherwise, the world would not be a layout of 5 major countries. It is indeed here. Zhou Pihong was excited. However, he did not act rashly. In addition to the national jade seal, there were nearly 100 warriors in armor standing quietly in this hall. Especially the 9 generals in the middle have extraordinary strength. Zombies. Zhou Pihong, who was born in the Devil's Path, instantly felt the extremely rich corpse energy on these warriors. Especially the 9 zombies in the middle all have Xianxian levels of cultivation. Gao Huade and Shi Shaoxin? No wonder they suddenly disappeared back then. It turned out that they were turned into zombies. He thought to himself as he looked at the general in the middle who was holding a golden spear and the other was holding a saber, and his corpse energy was particularly powerful. If I were outside, I would be afraid of alerting the guards, shaking the palace, and attracting the golden dragon that protects the country. But here, it's just a fairy. With a thought in his heart, a large black flag rushed out from above his head. The flag rolled back, and mysterious light swept across the zombies below. Nearly 100 souls were pulled out. The magic power of all the zombies was scattered after losing the control of the soul. As a magic golden immortal, Zhou Pihong knows the weaknesses of zombies best. Although their bodies are strong, their souls are relatively weak. And his natal immortal weapon, the 10,000 soul banner, happened to be the most restrained of divine souls. Fly down. Looking at the zombies with strong corpse aura all over the ground, it's a pity that the time is short, otherwise this cursed magic talisman can add some power. With Overhaul's brush, all the zombies disappeared instantly. He has no use for these corpses, but the sect behind him does. If it is cultivated, another magic golden immortal may not appear. It's a pity that I can't take it away. The jade seal passed down from the country is of great significance. If it can be obtained from the Liao kingdom, the country's fortune will definitely rise greatly. But he also knew that this was impossible. If he moved the national jade seal, he would definitely alarm the golden dragon protecting the country. There were trillions of people in the Song dynasty, 100 times that of the Jin kingdom. Even the golden immortal would not dare to step into the golden dragon that protected the country, which was transformed into the fate of all living beings. Suppressing the unnecessary thoughts in his heart, Zhou Pihong took out a black glass bottle from his pocket. Sitting cross-legged in the air, he took a deep breath and calmed down. The two hands make a secret, which is a bit slow at the beginning, and becomes faster as it goes to the back, like a windmill spinning rapidly. Suddenly, his hands clasped together and his eyes suddenly opened. A bright cyan mysterious light shot into the black glass bottle. Blue-black mist, like blue smoke, drifted out from the mouth of the bottle. The fog became thicker and thicker, gradually occupying a 3-foot radius. Zhou Pihong stepped back 3 feet, staring closely at the mouth of the bottle, his eyes full of fear. Gradually, a blue-black talisman floated out. A large piece of the surrounding space was silently missing, as if it had been eaten by something. An extremely strange aura came out of the talisman, as if all the filth, rottenness, and evil in the world had gathered together. The cursed talisman. A top-notch magic talisman. It can defile all the treasures in the world. Especially this magical talisman, which was made from the souls of billions of human corpses, is extremely powerful. Even with Zhou Pihong's body as a golden immortal, he would not dare to be contaminated even a little bit. Go. The cursed magic talisman floated slowly towards the Chuangguo jade seal. When the two sides touched, the former seemed to merge into the sand and quickly blended in. In an instant, a large part of the bright golden light on the imperial seal disappeared. The southeast corner became black and smelly. There is a change in the dragon's veins, and the world suddenly feels it. Boom. Bianliang, Tokyo, which had never been disturbed by an earthquake, was shaken instantly. The earth cracked and earth and rocks flew out. Destruction of heaven and earth within millions of miles. Su Junming, who was in retreat at Chongshan residence, suddenly felt uneasy. He started to make predictions and became angry in his heart. Flying out, he happened to meet Yu Xiang, who came to report the news. Ancestor. It's important to save people first. Yes. Arriving above Bianliang, half of this magnificent city had collapsed. As far as the eye could see, except for Huanglong Mountain where he suppressed, there were doomsday scenes of the earth cracking, sewage boiling, and houses collapsing. Point. 900 clones flew in all directions. He left his true form behind, waved his sleeves, and infinite mana poured out. Immediately, the ground was frozen, and all the collapsed earth and wood flew up, bringing out the people trapped inside, leaving behind those with minor injuries, and taking away those with serious injuries. Given the medical conditions of this era and the urinary habits of the superiors, these seriously injured lower-class people are mostly targets of abandonment. For the time being, take them to the heavenly mountain. The clone took some good fortune spiritual water, mixed it with the spiritual water, and sprinkled it all over the sky. What was carried was the flesh and bones of living and dead people, whether they were newly dead or not dead, they all came to life. Even some of the long-standing ailments on his body disappeared. More and more people were rescued by the 900 clones, and in just a quarter of an hour, the number exceeded 10 million. An hour later, there were already hundreds of millions. Fortunately, Tianwai Shenzhen is big enough, otherwise I might not be able to accommodate so many people. The plain where Bianliang is located has always been the richest and most densely populated area in the Song dynasty. Earthquakes that stretched for millions of miles caused nearly 100 billion casualties. Su Junming tried his best, but only saved some of them. Seeing the mess within a million miles, Su Junming looked gloomy. When he was in Yuejia town to clean up the demonic aura of the rotting corpse that had been transformed into Jin Peng's corpse, he deduced the secrets and figured out the conspiracy between Jin and Liao. Originally, he thought that Jin and Liao would suddenly go south, raid the Song capital and subvert the world, so he stayed in Huanglong Mountain outside Bianliang. They never expected that their goal was not Bianliang, but the dragon veins of the Song dynasty. Looking at the sick golden dragon that protects the country lying on top of Bianliang, it was infected by the evil energy. His eyes became cold. When the dragon's veins moved, the dragon turned over for millions of miles, killing and injuring tens of millions of people. This was because many monks, including him, came to the rescue, otherwise the number of casualties would have increased tenfold. It's a pity that we were busy rescuing people and let that guy Zhou Pihong escape. He shook his head slightly, flicked his fingers, and a bell sounded throughout the countryside. Not long after, a bolt of lightning came with lightning speed, and when it got close, Yu Xiang's figure was revealed. Judging from his tired look, it was obvious that he had been busy rescuing people just now. "Master!" With a wave of his left hand, a stream of light flew away. After subconsciously catching it, he looked at the hill in his hand with surprise on his face. "Give your third martial uncle the Tianwai Holy Mountain and ask him to take people to count the people inside, and then ask your fifth martial uncle's ghosts and gods to bring their families back." Yes. Based on the current behavior of the monarchs and ministers in the Song dynasty, even if they provide disaster relief, after being embezzled by the officials below, 10% of it will reach the hands of the victims, which is considered a good thing. Rather than let these people he rescued starve, sleep on the streets, and become refugees. It would be better to just bring them back to the three northern counties, as well as the former demon world and the current small world of Chongshan for resettlement. Become a disciple of Taoist priest for us. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 760. Chapter 741, The Court Fights, Hong Xian goes to Longhu. Boom. The delicate pen was washed off and smashed to pieces on the ground. Who on earth broke my great Song dynasty dragon vein? Zhao Ji has never been so angry. Although he was uneducated and not a good emperor, he was not a fool either. He knew very well that once the dragon veins of the Song dynasty was destroyed, it would be Shenzhou-Lucan. When the time came, his throne, his luxurious life, and his superior power would no longer exist. Therefore, he was angry and even a little scared. "Your Majesty, the one who can sneak into the Chengtian palace silently, hide it from the guards, and quickly kill the 98 divine generals who protect the palace must be a golden immortal." Later, after an inspection by the Imperial City Department, the person who did it was this is Zhou Pihong, the king of the south campus of the Liao Kingdom and the head of the six paths of the demon sect, the Holy Demon Section. A middle-aged man wearing a purple official robe, with a majestic and powerful aura, stepped out of the queue and said loudly. Zhao Ji's expression changed slightly. As the emperor, he was certainly no stranger to this demonic golden immortal. "Damn Zhou thief, I will lead tens of millions of troops to the north to destroy the Liao kingdom in the future to avenge today." Zhao Ji gritted his teeth. But the officials below all knew that these words would only comfort themselves. In the 3,000 years since Taizha Zhao Kuangyan went into seclusion, the Jin and Liao dynasties had changed their offensive and defensive positions with the Song dynasty. They fought many battles and were defeated in 9 out of 10 battles. Let alone destroying the Liao kingdom, Being able to hold on to the existing borders would be considered a blessing. I will work hard at night to help your majesty realize his ambition as soon as possible, Cai Jing said respectfully. I am also willing to help his majesty realize his ambition as soon as possible. Dozens of Cai Jing's ministers echoed. Okay, okay, with the help of all the ministers and princes, why worry about our Song dynasty not being prosperous, and why worry about the Liao kingdom not being destroyed? Zhao Ji's self-esteem as an emperor was greatly satisfied. Your Majesty, the attack on Liao still requires careful planning. The top priority is to rescue the people affected by the disaster, otherwise there may be a civil unrest. Wearing a red robe and a resolute face, Li Gang, the Minister of the Ministry of War and the Right Prime Minister of Shangzhou, spoke. Zhao Ji also knew the impact of the civil uprising on the Song dynasty, and after some thought, let's do this. The Ministry of Household Affairs will allocate 300 million taels of silver to help the victims. Your Majesty, this Earth Dragon's transformation involves hundreds of billions of people on Jingzi East Road, Jingbei North Road, Hebei West Road, and Hedong Road. 300 million taels of silver is really a drop in the bucket, Li Gang said quickly. Then we will exempt the affected people from taxes for another year. Zhao Ji had long been accustomed to the insatiable greed of these ministers, so he deliberately spoke 2 steps apart to avoid being too happy and letting them take advantage of them. Your Majesty, the Earth Dragon is overturned. The people have no food to eat and no clothes to wear. It is indeed Your Majesty's mercy to exempt the tax burden for 1 year, but if hundreds of millions of Kazhu leaders cannot wait for relief from the imperial court, they may not be able to survive even half a month. Li Gang knelt down and made an impassioned speech. If I die, please give me a beating. I also hope that Your Majesty will allow you to stop the construction of Huiyang Palace, and all the remaining silver will be used to help the victims. Li Gang, you are brave, Zhao Ji said angrily. Huiyang Palace is his favorite, and it is also his carefully built comfort home. Not to mention a mere Earth Dragon turning over, even if the Yellow River bursts its banks and the world suffers a severe drought, it will not stop. His Majesty. Cai Jing spoke quickly, blocking Zhao Ji's next words. After everyone turned their attention, Your Majesty, you must listen to Mr. Li's words, but even if the construction of Huiyang Palace is stopped, it will be difficult for the Ministry of Revenue to come up with enough silver to save hundreds of billions of people. However, Wei Chen has a plan to solve this problem. Oh? Does the Grand Master have any good ideas? At this time, Cai Jing had been granted the title of Grand Master. A few days ago, Kuakuado Junsu Zhenjun sent his disciples to the capital. He said that the 3 counties of Yanmen, Yunzong, and Wuyuan are vast and sparsely populated. He hoped that the imperial court could extradite some refugees to fill the 3 counties. However, our Song dynasty is rich and prosperous, and the people are prosperous. How can there be refugees filling the borders? Therefore, I have never responded. I never thought that today I would encounter such a disaster. As a humble minister, it is better to agree to Su Zhenjun and assign the Chongshan faction to be responsible for all the refugees caused by the Earth Dragon's transformation. I think that with the great power of Su Zhenjun, the Golden Immortal Lord, these refugees will not have to endure hungry. And without these refugees, the dilemma of the Central Plains being small and densely populated can be greatly alleviated and the imperial rule can be consolidated. Your Majesty, no, if hundreds of billions of refugees fall into the hands of Chongshan Academy, I'm afraid it will take the opportunity to grow bigger, and it will threaten our rule of the Song dynasty in the future, Li Gang said loudly. Master Li, what you said is wrong. Chongshan Academy is located on the border of Song and Liao. If its strength increases, it will only become a barrier against the southward movement of Liao. It will never threaten our rule of the Song dynasty. What's more, there are Tianchi Dao, Shenzhou Dao, Chunyang sect, and Kongtong sect are all restricting us, and our Song dynasty has Teju sitting in charge, so how can we talk about threats? Could it be that Mr. Li thinks that with Teju's cultivation, coupled with Lao Xiongguo and General Yang, he can't suppress Zhongshan Academy? Of course not, it's just. All right. Zhao Ji interrupted Li Gang and said, the Grand Master's strategy is a good strategy that kills 3 birds with 1 stone. Let's act accordingly. Your Majesty is wise. Seeing the situation in front of him, Li Gang could only accept it no matter how dissatisfied it was. After all, he is just a minister, and Zhao Ji is the king. Your Majesty, this time the Earth Dragon turned over, the people suffered heavy casualties. I hope that your Majesty will grant permission to hold 3,600 Lushan festivals in Bianliang City, and invite the Celestial Master Zhang Lejin to preside over the ceremony to save the souls of the dead. To show your Majesty's mercy. After he finished speaking, he glanced to the right. Tong Guan, also wearing a purple robe, walked out of the train to the left. Your Majesty, now that the Earth Dragon has turned over and the world is in chaos, it is time to worship the souls of the dead and soothe the hearts of the living people. I believe that the Grand Master's proposal is very good. I second the proposal. At that time, nearly half of the ministers echoed, which shows that Cai Jing's power is at its peak. Your Majesty, there is still demonic energy in the dragon's veins, and we need to invite the heavenly protector of the country to come to the capital as soon as possible. Imperial City Division Commander Murong Chiu said in a deep voice. Zhao Ji, who was a little hesitant, nodded and agreed. Since both the Grand Master and Lieutenant General feel that it is appropriate to hold the Lushan festival, then let's do it accordingly. Your Majesty is wise. Everyone said respectfully. It's just that the Celestial Master who protects the country is of great importance. Who among you ministers is willing to go to Longhu Mountain and invite the Celestial Master to come here on my behalf? Your Majesty, I am willing to go. A man wearing a red official robe walked out of the queue. Zhao Ji took a look and saw that it was Hong Xian, the Tai Wei in front of the palace. Forget it, I will give you a sword, 3 pairs of fine jade, and 30 jars of fine wine. You can go out on my behalf. My lord, I obey the order. Master, the imperial court has issued an order, agreeing to us attracting the refugees who have turned from Earth Dragon this time into the 3 counties of Chongshan. Yu Xiang said respectfully. Su Junming nodded. It was just a risky move at first, but I never thought it would lead to big gains. There was a pause. Send a message to your 3rd uncle, 4th uncle, and 5th uncle, asking them to lead their disciples to hold our sacred mountain outside the sky and transfer all the refugees in the 4 roads of the Central Plains to the small world of Chongshan within half a month. Remember, I said everything. Yu Xiang instantly understood that his master was taking the opportunity to recruit people. But that's also a good thing. Compared with struggling to survive in the Song dynasty, living in confusion. After coming under the rule of Chongshan, at least those people in Gaz who no longer have to suffer from hunger, and their descendants can receive education, and as long as they are talented, they can stand out. The situation is more than 100 times stronger. Disciple, obey. Seeing that Yu Xiang has not left. Anything else? There is news from the court that the Hanjun is planning to hold 3,600 Lushan feasts, and is also planning to send Hong Xian, the prefect of the palace, to Longhu Mountain in person to invite Zhang Chongyang, the heavenly master who protects the country, to come to Bianliang to host it. Su Junming was shocked and felt that this matter was somewhat familiar. He subconsciously activated the heavenly secret divine ball, and in an instant, countless heavenly secrets appeared. After a long time, the magic power converged and the breath calmed down. Take a slight breath. So it's like this. It's beyond my expectation. Xiang go ahead. Disciple, obey. After bowing respectfully, Yu Xiang left Chongshan residence. He made a hand gesture, and after a moment, Su Junming tapped his forehead, and then shook it. A faint brilliance rose from the ground. Soon, the figure of true Lord Tai became clear. What do you want from me? After briefly telling what happened in the capital, go to Longhu Mountain. If you find traces of Wan Yanzhen or Zhou Pihong, don't act rashly, just follow them. This matter is simple. But if everything is as you expected, then this world will be much more interesting. Zhang Chongyang has extraordinary cultivation, don't let him discover your whereabouts. Haha, don't worry. Unless he has a treasure such as a bronze mirror, he will never discover my whereabouts. Along with the sound of drinking wine, the figure of Zhenjun Tai slowly disappeared. After receiving the emperor's order, Hong Xian packed up the gifts given by the emperor, took 300 imperial guardsmen, took a speed car specially used by the Ministry of War, and rushed straight to Longhu Mountain. The flying chariot is towed by 4 dragon horses and rides on the wind, traveling millions of miles a day at an astonishing speed. In the carriage, Hong Xian was holding a copy of the Analects of Confucius and reading it at night by the bright light next to it. The reason why he took the initiative to go to Longhu Mountain before was not to please Cai Jing, but to leave an impression on His Majesty. Of course, what is more important is to seek an opportunity from the old heavenly master Zhang Chongyang to see if the few brats in his family can become a disciple of Longhu Mountain and practice. Only by relying on the first sect of time can we have a greater future. Suddenly, a cold breath came, and he subconsciously looked up, with a look of horror on his face. At some point, a man wearing a black robe, his whole body hidden in the darkness, appeared 3 feet in front of him. You. Before he could speak, a stream of colorful light came straight to the door. The speed was too fast for someone like him who had just become a soul to resist. As soon as the stream of light touched the skin, it melted in instantly, and Hong Xian's expression instantly became dull. The man in black robe made a seal with his hands, and in an instant countless streams of light flew into Hong Xian's body. He stopped after a quarter of an hour, and Hong Xian's expression became lively again, but his temperament was much colder than before. This body is too weak, Hong Xian said, dissatisfied. Only he can achieve our goals. After the man in black robe finished speaking, he shook his hand and shot out a black light. After Hong Xian used it, a black iron awl appeared in front of him. Be careful, don't get caught. After saying that, the man in black robe disappeared silently. Hong Xian picked up the Analects on the table and read it again. But compared to before, now it looks more like a show-off. At the same time, thousands of feet away behind the convoy, in a mustard space, Gudu took a sip of wine, and the angry De Hongbao casually wiped the wine from the corner of his mouth, looking into the distance with drunken eyes. I am really a master of calculations. The old devil Zhou Pihong has indeed appeared. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 761. Hong Xian rushed all the way and first arrived at Xinzhou Prefecture, Jiangnan West Road. Local officials of all sizes had already received the news and lined up to greet him. After resting for one night in Xinzhou Prefecture, we set off for Longhu Mountain the next day. The Taoists of Tianxi Tao had received the news early in the morning, so they cleaned the mountain road up the mountain early in the morning, set up the offering table, and prepared to welcome Hong Xian. The speeding car drove straight into Longhu Mountain under the protection of the Royal Forest Army, and then followed the winding mountain road to the Shangqing Palace. Zhang Shaoling, the leader of Tianxi Dao who had been waiting here for a long time, took the initiative to greet him. Although Hong Xian's cultivation level is far inferior to him, he still represents the Song dynasty court. Even if he is the leader and has Xianxian cultivation level, he cannot neglect it. Tianxi Dao Zhang Shaoling has seen angels. Master Zhang, you're welcome. After a few simple polite words, Zhang Shaoling led Hong Xian through the mountain gate and into the Sanking Hall. After enshrining the imperial edict on the altar table in the middle, Zhen Zhang, where is the heavenly master? Reporting to Taiwei, my uncle likes to be quiet by nature and is always tired of welcoming people and sending them off. Therefore, he has been living in seclusion on the top of Longhu Mountain since thousands of years ago. He lives in a cottage and cultivates his moral character. He is not in this palace. This, if the heavenly master is not here, how can the emperor's edict be read loudly? Hong Xian wondered. The old heavenly master Zhang Chongyang was no better than ordinary people, he was the best golden immortal in the world. Let alone the emperor's edict, even if he scolded Zhao Ji in person, he would still endure it. Therefore, Hong Xian did not dare to be slow at all. The captain is coming from afar. Why don't we take a rest now and discuss it later? I appreciate the good intentions of the real master. However, since the old master is at the top of the mountain, how about the real master sends a few disciples to invite the old master down? So that the Taiwei will know that there are many restrictions in the retreat of the old heavenly master. People who are not destined to go there, even if they are poor people, will still be blocked from outside. What should we do? The capital city has been overturned, and the people of Li have suffered numerous casualties. The emperor has set up 3,600 Lucian events, and sent me thousands of miles away to invite the old celestial master to the capital to preside over it. If the celestial master cannot be invited, I'm just afraid that Xiang Shang's head will not be saved, Hong Xian said anxiously. Hong Taiwei, don't be anxious. It's better to go up the mountain tomorrow. Maybe Taiwei is the one who is destined to help the ancestor come out and meet him. Hong Xian nodded, that's all we have to do. Zhang Shaoling arranged the room, prepared meals, and arranged for him to stay. The sky was getting dark, and soon it was night. Hong Xian, who was studying in the room, felt dizzy. After shaking for a while, he fell asleep at his desk. Then he got up again. However, compared to the gentleness before, his expression was now a bit colder. Back out of the room. Grown-ups. The guarding imperial guards quickly stepped forward to salute. He nodded, came to the courtyard, looked at the bright moonlight in the sky, his eyes flashed, and he had an idea. The moonlight is beautiful tonight. Please accompany me for a walk in this view. Yes. In addition to the courtyard, I soon met the Tianqi disciples who were on duty at night. But everyone knew that he was an envoy sent by the imperial court, so there was no difficulty. Hong Xian wandered left and right, but he was actually heading in the same direction. Gradually, the surrounding environment became desolate and gloomy. Lieutenant, this place is remote and may be dangerous. Should we go back? The guard next to him advised. Haha, what are you worried about? This place is the Heavenly Master's Shangqing Palace, the first gate in the world. What danger can there be? The two guards thought so and said no more. After bypassing the moon gate in front, a magnificent hall appeared in front of us. It must have taken a long time to build, and the maroon paint on the walls has become mottled. Hong Xian took a deep breath, a flash of excitement in his eyes. Walk over and look up. The three characters subduing Demon Palace on the forehead are vigorous and powerful, solemn and clumsy. Dozens of seals were posted on the door of the hall below, and thick chains were wrapped around the handles of the two doors. The demon-conquering hall, such a desolate and cold place, can't contain any demons. You two, take off these seals. These covers are most sensitive to demonic and evil spirits. Zhou Pihong, who used the demon species as a mediator to occupy Hong Xian's body, did not dare to take risks. Sir, this demon sealing palace is an important place for demon sealing in Tianqi. If we take the seal and let the demons go, we will probably make Tianqi angry. Yes, sir, think twice. You have also seen the important place where demons are sealed. This place is so remote and has no guards. How can it be an important place? Even if it was once a place where demons were sealed, it has been abandoned long ago. After saying this, he frowned, and he also remembered that his arrival was too smooth, and it didn't look like the place where the demon was sealed. But he used the secret soul-searching technique of the demon to investigate and found out that the hall was indeed full of demonic energy, which was exactly what he wanted. Forget it, it's a big deal that we lose this demon seed. The two guards exchanged glances with each other. Indeed, if this is really an extremely important place for sealing demons, how could the people of Tianqi be so negligent? However, they are also monks and can sense the extremely rich sealing power on the cover. Hurry up, otherwise I will report it to your majesty and punish you for the crime of disrespect. The two guards were shocked. Although their cultivation was higher than Hong Xian's, their official positions were completely different. If you are convicted, not only you, but your family will also be in trouble. The two of them had no choice but to step forward and carefully peel off the cover. These seals are sensitive to demonic energy and can emit huge power, but they have limited power against human magic. Clang, he drew his sword and unfolded the iron rope. Open the door. The two guards each pushed one door. Creak, accompanied by a thick and hoarse friction sound, the dust fell down. With a wave of his sleeves and a gust of wind blowing away the dust, Hong Xian stepped in. Huh, a gust of wind came. Deep in the hall, in the thick darkness where even the moonlight could not shine away, there were numerous shadows, as if countless ghosts were lurking. Be careful, sir. The two guards unsheathed their swords and protected Hong Xian from behind. Don't worry about it, it's just a bit of yin qi accumulated over time. As if to cater to his words, after a short time, the yin qi in the hall gradually dissipated, and the moonlight outside the door gradually shone in. It can be seen that there is nothing on the left and right sides of the main hall, except for a stone tablet in the middle, about 6 or 7 feet high. The stone turtle below is sitting down, and most of it is sunk in the soil. There are dragon and phoenix seals on the stone tablet, which is very mysterious. The guards didn't know that Zhou Pihong, who controlled Hong Xian's body with a demon seed, felt the rich sealing charm from it. Just like the cover previously affixed to the door, it also protects against demons, not humans. You go and move the stone monument away. I want to see what's mysterious about this place. This time the two guards didn't say anything more. They both came in without trembling. The two guards stepped forward, activated their magic power, and tried to lift the stone monument. Who knew that the stone monument, which was only 6 or 7 feet tall, was as heavy as a mountain? The two of them managed to move away after a lot of effort from the boss. Looking under the moonlight, I saw that under the stone tablet was a stone slab with complicated seal carvings. Holding back his expectation, he directed the two guards to take away the stone slab, and a large black hole with unknown depth appeared in front of him. The three of them were looking around. Suddenly, a loud bang came from the depths of the cave. The loud sound was earth-shattering, and the two guards were horrified. After taking a few steps back, they fell to the ground. Zhou Pihong, who occupied Hong Xian's body, was extremely calm. After the loud noise, the depths of the cave began to vibrate like a cow roaring. Immediately afterwards, a dark mist rushed up like lightning. The black energy was so fast that before it could be seen clearly, it had already broken through the roof and turned into hundreds of golden lights, flying away in all directions. Seeing that his goal was achieved, a bit of black mist flew out from between Hong Xian's eyebrows and turned into light and flew away. Hong Xian's eyes turned white and he fell to the ground. The two guards were so frightened that they hurriedly stepped forward, helped Hong Xian up, and after touching his nose, they all breathed a sigh of relief. Looking at the gloomy surroundings, he didn't dare to stay any longer, and quickly supported Tai Wei Hong and left quickly. The mountain behind Longhu Mountain. In the quiet bamboo forest, Zhang Chongyang, who was wearing a green robe and a bright head, looked at the golden light in the distance and sighed lightly. Senior brother, if you transferred Shaoqing and the others away from the demon-conquering hall, would you have expected Zhou Pihong to come and plot against the 108 demons? Your senior brother is not that powerful and can count everything. In fact, even if there is no Zhou Pihong, I am still going to find an opportunity to let 108 demons be born. Zhang Shiyang's face changed slightly, and his tone was questioning. Senior brother, the 36 Tiangang demons and the 72 earthly demons are all 108 demons sealed by the ancestor of our sect since ancient times. If they escape, I am afraid that the world will be shaken and provoked. Escape from boundless catastrophes and add endless karma to my path as a heavenly master. Zhang Chongyang was not angry either. Junior brother, you think too highly of them. Tens of thousands of years of seclusion have long since crushed their spirits, and now only a little bit of soul essence is left. Even if you escape, you must reincarnate as soon as possible, otherwise your soul will be lost. Fate. Want to have cholera in the world? Haha, how is that possible? Besides, my celestial master's Tao emphasizes following the will of heaven. Now it is heaven that wants them to be born. Even without me, Zhou Pihong is here. Senior brother and Zhou Pihong both want them to be born. I'm afraid these 108 magic stars will be of great use, Zhang Xiaoyang said. Zhang Chongyang nodded. 108 demon stars will be reborn according to the energy of heaven and earth. They will start this 5 emperors struggle 100 years later. Zhang Xiaoyang is also a smart person. After thinking about it for a while, he understood it instantly. Senior brother plans to overthrow the rule of the Song dynasty and compete for the throne. I don't want to be like this. But it's hard to figure out the secret. For the last step, the old man has to fight before his life is over. Zhang Xiaoyang was silent. He also knew that although his senior brother's cultivation had reached the peak of golden immortal, his lifespan would end in another 2,000 years, and that would be the end of the decline of heaven and man. 2,000 years may be a long time for monks below the immortal realm, but for a golden immortal with a lifespan of 100,000 years, it has become very urgent. Become a disciple of Taoist priest for us. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 762. Senior brother, Zhao Kuangyan has enjoyed the throne of the Yellow Emperor for nearly 10,000 years. After he abdicates, it will naturally be senior brother's turn. Why bother to use such drastic means to fight for it again? Zhang Xiaoyang still wanted to persuade him again, because once the world competes for the top spot, there will be frequent wars, people will be displaced, and there will be heavy casualties. He, who prides himself on being righteous, does not want to see such a tragic situation. Humph, do you really think Zhao Kuangyan will give up the throne? If he doesn't give in, aren't you afraid that the whole world will punish him? Afraid? Haha, compared to this, the hopelessness of Tai's fruition status is what really scares him. Nowadays, Chixian Shenzhou is no longer what it was in ancient times, and not all golden immortals are as enlightened as Guangqinzi, Qiniang Jinren, and Fueao Zichen Chuan. Extraordinary, a supreme genius who can break through the realm on his own. For you and me, including Zhao Kuangyan and others, it will be difficult to break through the Tai realm before the end of our lives unless we rely on the blessing of the common master of the world. So, the 5 emperors' struggle for the top spot in 100 years will inevitably end the current situation of the 5 countries coexisting. Even if we don't fight, Shengxiaodao, Chunyang sect, Kongtong sect, and even the newly established Chongshan Academy will fight. As for the 5 major, let alone the country. Turning his head, he looked at Zhang Xiaoyang with a troubled expression. Junior brother, neither you nor I can stop the general trend of the world's unification. The wisest way is to adapt to the situation and strive for better conditions for yourself as much as possible. Seeing his senior brother's firm look, Zhang Xiaoyang sighed in his heart and said nothing more. After the matter was completed, Zhou Pihong stood in the air excitedly, looking at the vast Longhu mountain in the distance, which looked like a giant dragon lying down. After the birth of the 108 demon stars, 100 years later, the Song dynasty will be in chaos. At that time, our demon sect will enter the world. After thinking for a while, Zhou Pihong frowned slightly. Recalling the whole process, he gradually understood. Long Hushan seems to want me to let these demons go. The whole process was too easy. He accomplished his goal without even taking a step, which was completely different from what he had expected. There is only one explanation for this result. Long Hushan deliberately indulges. It seems that old man Zhang and Zhao Kuangyan are not of the same mind. Hey, this is the best. The more chaotic the world is, the more opportunities our demon sect will have to grow stronger. After taking a deep look at Longhu Mountain, he raised his escape light and flew straight to the north. Dayun Mountain is a barren mountain located in the Biun Desert. Every midsummer, there are always layers of clouds appearing on the mountain, so it is named Dayun Mountain. Dayun Mountain is located in the middle of the vast Biun Desert. To the north of the desert is the prairie that stretches tens of millions of miles, which is the foundation of the Liao Kingdom's demon clan. To the south of the desert are the fertile Dongsheng, Shuo, Ying, Fengshen, Yu, Tong, and Feng prefectures. The land of these 7 states is equivalent to the 3 or 4 Dao of the Song dynasty, with a population of 200 billion. It belongs to the 6th Dao of the demon sect and is under the jurisdiction of the king of Nanyuan of the Liao Kingdom. It is precisely because of their existence that the Liao Kingdom did not become a pure demon kingdom like the Jin Kingdom. However, the devil's methods are ruthless, killing people at every turn, making the people living in these 7 states miserable and precarious. The 7-state land that once had a population of 400 to 500 billion in ancient times is now less than half of what it used to be. Above Dayun Mountain, Su Junming, dressed in a green robe, sat cross-legged in the air. Next to him is Zhenjun Tai, who is wearing a coquettish red robe and sitting on the white clouds. Aren't you going to grow up in a humble way for 100 or 200 years and then sweep the world? Why have you changed your mind now and want to capture Zhou Pihong and seize the 7 states of Liao Kingdom? I thought too well of these monsters and monsters. I thought that killing Aruhan would shock them and make them be honest. But I didn't expect that they would still persist in their stubbornness. It would actually shake the dragon veins of the Song dynasty, causing the earth dragon to turn over, causing countless losses. Tens of millions of human beings perished. For such a serious crime, given Song dynasty's urinary temperament, most likely there will be no substantive action taken. However, we cannot ignore it. Are you afraid that they will take advantage of it and go south to offend the 3 counties of our Chongshan Academy? Su Junming nodded. Some things are better nipped in the bud. Moreover, after today's incident spreads all over the world, it will also greatly improve the reputation of our Chongshan Academy. True Lord Tai nodded and took a sip of wine. You take action or do I? Let me do it. It's not easy for you to be exposed just yet. Tai Zhenjun did not object. It didn't last long. He stopped drinking and looked at the sky in the southeast. Coming. You just hold the line here for me. As soon as he finished speaking, Su Junming took a step forward and reached a height of 10,000 feet in an instant. Soon, a ray of light came from the southeast. They are both golden immortals, and they can feel each other's presence from a distance. The light dissipated, revealing Zhou Pihong wearing a black robe. Looking at the tall Taoist in the distance who was wearing a green robe and a green gourd hanging from his waist, there was a hint of deep wariness in his eyes. Su Zhenjun is not cultivating in the 3 counties, so why are you here blocking my way? When a poor Taoist comes here, he naturally has a grudge and revenge. I don't understand the meaning of Su Zhenjun's words. Su Junming smiled lightly. It doesn't matter if you don't understand. All you need to know is that I want to kill you. Zhou Pihong's expression suddenly changed, his eyes were fixed on the green-robed Taoist opposite, and his tone was cold. Su Zhenjun, don't make any mistakes. Our Liao kingdom is not Nanzhao, and I am not Si Zhan. In my opinion, you are far worse than Si Zhan. He clapped his right hand forward, and magnificent energy and blood rose into the sky. The vast power of space formed space, and a giant palm that lifted up the sky instantly covered a radius of thousands of miles. I have long heard that Su Junming seriously injured the master of the three caves in Nanzhao with one palm, and almost killed the three wizards with his sword. But only when you really face it can you realize the horror of this palm. The great power of turning the world upside down and opening the sky with one hand was something Zhou Pihong had never seen before. Looking at the huge, tyrannical palm that covered the sky and the sun, Zhou Pihong roared angrily against the tyrannical pressure falling from the sky. 10,000 soul banners. In an instant, a giant flag thousands of feet tall and automatically held up to the sky without wind appeared in mid-air. The unbreakable yin qi surged out crazily from the giant flag, and bursts of ghosts crying and wolf howling made the surrounding area thousands of miles like falling into hell. Zhou Pihong pinched a few seals like lightning and turned his hands up suddenly. The 10,000 soul banner was shaken violently, and the tyrannical yin qi turned into two huge palms and swung straight into the air. Ha ha, what a small trick! With a press of his right palm, the giant black palm flashed instantly. Zhou Pihong's expression changed drastically, and waves of tyrannical pressure surged up like mountains and seas. Not good. He is also a decisive person. The devil's bloodthirsty method. His left arm exploded into pieces with a bang, and his whole body turned into an extremely fast bloody light, escaping downwards as if teleporting. Soon, he hit an extremely tough barrier. Ever since Su Junming took a middle-grade innate red fruit and his magic power advanced to the late golden immortal stage, the space power attached to the Pantuo divine palm has become tyrannical several times. Not to mention that Zhou Pihong was only in the early stage of golden immortal, even if he bumped into him in the later stage of golden immortal, he still couldn't escape. His expression suddenly changed, before he could think of any other solution. The overwhelming force of suppression has already reached the top of the head. Boom! Within thousands of miles, the earth was sunken, and in the endless yellow sand, there was a giant palm print that was 100 feet deep. Su Junming retracted his palm, but saw that in the space of his right palm, Zhou Pihong, who was almost beaten to a pulp, had already passed out. As his heart moved, silvery white light shrouded him, and the powerful sealing power instantly sealed his dantian and sea of consciousness. Considering that he still wanted to contribute to the advancement of Chongshan world, he took some good fortune spiritual water and repaired his physical body. A ray of mysterious light flew over, and the figure of true Lord Tai appeared from it. My dear, a middle-grade innate red fruit has increased the power of your Pantuo palm several times. Su Junming smiled lightly. If the mana cultivation level was still low before, the space barrier could not stop a golden immortal like Zhou Pihong from escaping. Looking at the undisguised envy on Zhenjun Tai's face. When I master the Tai Yuren Huang Dan, I will definitely need your one. Then I'll wait. But I need at least 3 pills to make up for the trauma in my soul. After saying that, a look of grievance appeared on the fat face. We are all brothers after all. I didn't expect you and the third child to eat secretly Kuazi, but let me eat and sleep outside alone. Anyway, I followed your instructions and rescued tens of billions of pigs from Jin and Liao. Here we go again. Su Junming shook his head helplessly. Among the 4 Dharmakayas, Renwuji is just like his appearance, moody and completely childish. The Dragon Emperor has a rebellious nature and is still hot on the outside. Ao Tian has a domineering personality and strong methods. What Tai Zhenjun likes most is to pretend to be a pig and eat the tiger. His fat figure, smiling expression, sultry red robe, and hobby of drinking are really deceptive. No one would be too vigilant when faced with such a ruthless person. It just so happens that when you let your guard down, that's when he shows his fangs. Don't worry, as long as the elixir is mastered, you and the second child will definitely have the most. Renwiji was the most dissatisfied since he found out that he was cheating with the Dragon Emperor. Because among the five, he has the lowest cultivation level, which really brings disgrace to his second master. That's pretty much it. With a wave of his hand, he handed the sealed Jopihong to true Lord Tai. Give him to the fourth child, and then you go back and inform the third child to take Shaoxin, Yan Chixia, Huang Zhuolong, Miao Chufang, Hesha, and Zhang Junbao to wipe out the demon sect in the 7 states in the southern part of Liao Kingdom. Power, bring the people of these 7 states under our control. Such a big move must be difficult to conceal. If it spreads, I'm afraid it will cause a great shock in the world, and even the Song dynasty will be wary of us. Tai Zhenjun said with a slightly serious expression. If I don't do this and let these human races fall into the hands of the Liao Kingdom, their situation will only be more miserable. As for the impact after it spreads. Haha, we have already obtained a large enough population from the Song dynasty. With the addition of these 7 states, as well as the small world of Chongshan Mountain and the lower boundary of Shushan Mountain, the area is already 70% of the Song dynasty, and the population is nearly 1 trillion. It is enough we have laid the foundation for sweeping this world, and it doesn't matter whether we are exposed or not. As long as you have an idea. Su Junming nodded and turned to look north. You and the third child will defeat the demon sect, and I'll go to Moyun Palace in Tianlang Mountain. Looking at him in surprise, you don't plan to wipe out the entire Liao Kingdom, do you? Not yet, but I captured Zhoupihong and captured the 7 southern states of Liao Kingdom. Yeludiguang and Yeluqi will not give up no matter what. Instead of waiting for them to come to me, I might as well teach them a lesson myself. Otherwise, they come back to cause trouble. As soon as he finished speaking, he took a step forward and disappeared in an instant.